ישבנו גם בכינו, בזוכרנו, בזוכרנו, בזוכרנו את ציון. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. Anarot, 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 Babel. Sham yashavnu, yashavnu, Am bachinu, bezochrenu, bezochrenu, bezochrenu et Zion.
Erev Tov, everyone.
So,
So Tisha B'Av, the ninth of Av, is an interesting day in the Jewish calendar. It's an interesting day collectively for our people. And the question of Reform Judaism with Tisha B'Av has been something that we've wrestled with as a community for some years. It is said to be representative of so many dates of tragedy and travesty that have befallen the Jewish people over the centuries. We're going to look at some of those dates in a moment together. But we come together on Tisha B'Av to mourn, to be in community together, to recall the pain and the tragedy. And we call to mind not just our collective pain and tragedy, but really our individual pain and loss over the last several years as well. We're going to ask you later in the service to light candles in memory of someone if you so choose to, because we have to sit in that pain sometimes. We have to sit with the trauma and the tragedy in order to become elevated into becoming our best self. Tisha B'Av, in so many ways, is that beginning of the season of renewal. From here, we ask for comfort. We sit in the pain, we sit in the tears, we mourn, and then we can begin to ascend to make our way up into the world. We move into Elul, our season of reflection, our season of renewal. We count down those days till we get to Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of our new year. But without really sitting in brokenness, we can't fully recognize and see what it is that needs to be fixed, both within ourselves and within the world around us. So tonight, even sometimes though it is uncomfortable, we sit with some pain. We mourn on behalf of our community, we mourn for ourselves. And then as we exit the sanctuary tonight, we take the first steps towards renewal. We'll look at some of our collective history together. We'll pray for comfort. We invite you to join in where you know the tunes. Come along if you don't, and really just to be present with us as we acknowledge this space and create this time of healing together. On Tisha B'Av, we mourn for those who lost their lives in historical events said to have occurred on the ninth day of the Hebrew month of Av. We remember, we will not forget. In 586 BCE, the Babylonian armies sacked Jerusalem, destroying Solomon's temple and sending the Jewish people into exile. In 70 CE, the Roman legions under Titus crushed the Jewish revolt, leveled Jerusalem and the Second Temple. They massacre thousands of Jews in the streets and they carry others off into slavery. Many years later, in 135 CE, the fortress of Beitar falls to the Romans and ends the revolt of Bar Kokhba. In 1096, the Crusades bring death and destruction to our Jewish communities up and down the Rhine Valley. In 1242, 24 cartloads of Talmudic volumes are burned in Paris by officials of the church. In 1290, 1306, and in 1492, Jewish communities are expelled from England, France, and Spain. 1648, Khmelnytsky's hordes massacre thousands of Polish Jews. In 1882, government-instigated pogroms take place throughout Jewish areas of Russia. In 1929, scores of Jews are slaughtered in Arab lands by Arabs rioting in Hebron. And in 1945, 1/3 of the Jewish people, 6 million human beings, are slaughtered by the Nazis.
Anarod Babel, Shem Yashavnu, Gambachinu, Bezochreinu, 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 Etzion. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, remember thee, remember thee, Zion.
We move from the collective into the personal. If you are remembering someone, a loved one, on this evening, we invite you to take a moment, think about them, think about their memory, the legacy that they leave behind, and come in quiet to the center table and light a candle in their memory.
Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Ami Omar Elohim. Ami Omar Elohim.
We continue responsibly. The light of life is a finite flame. Like these candles, like a kindle that burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more.
Let our darkness be dispelled by your love, that we may rise above fear and failure, our steps sustained by faith. You give meaning to our days. You are our support and our trust.
We invite all those who so choose, if it is your custom, to rise or remain seated for this night.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
We read responsibly. Dear God, so much innocent bloodshed. How are we supposed to be created in your image? But oh, how we have distorted it.
When we recall the beastly acts of people, we are ashamed to be human. When we read of the nobility of their victims, we are proud to be Jews.
Teach us, O God, to honor our martyrs by being vigilant in defense of our people everywhere and by fighting cruelty, persecution, and hate.
But must cruelty always be? Must viciousness ever be the signature of humanity? No, no, we refuse to accept that. We refuse to give hatred the last word because we have known the power of love.
We refuse to believe that cruelty will prevail because we have felt the strength of kindness. We refuse to award the ultimate victory to evil because we believe in you.
So help us, O God, to draw strength from our faith. And help us, O God, to live by our faith.
Where there is hatred, may we bring love. Where there is pain, may we bring healing. Where there is darkness, may we bring light. Where there is despair, may we bring hope. Where there is discord, may we bring harmony. Where there is strife, may we bring peace.
Make this a better world and begin with us.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Continue with the Amidah. We invite all those who so choose to rise in body and or in spirit at this time.
Adonai Matai tiftach opi agi teilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומבגאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה כל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מחלקל חיים בחסד מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר עצורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מלחמוך בגבורות, ומידם אליו, מלך ממית ומחיה. ומצמיח ישועה, בנאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. Yehu leratzon imre fi. Vegion libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. May the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart, be acceptable to you, Adonai, my Rav and my Redeemer. Yehu leratzon imre fi, vegion libi lefanecha. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. Adonai Tzuri Vegoali. during Tisha B'Av, this holiday of commemoration, we read from one of the books of writings. This book is called Echa, or Lamentations. It begins, Echa, alas, and continues as a lament to the destruction of Jerusalem, a lament to the peoples who have no home, a lament to an age of starvation, refugees, and slavery. It is a lament. There are parts that are bitter and difficult to read, beyond even our understanding. With the worst of pictures that we might see on the news today, we still read from 2,000 years ago texts that we wonder if they could truly have been true. And yet we recall this and we read this as part of our communal mourning, our understanding that our personal mourning, those that we have lost, those who we remember, those who have broken and touched our hearts, they combine with the communal nature of Tisha B'Av, the communal nature of Echa, that all over the world Jews are reading our story of our destruction, of our mourning, of our prayers of hope and longing. And so we will read selections from, I believe, chapters 1 through 3 and the end of chapter 5 as we commemorate this day of Tisha B'Av.
Echa, alas, lonely sits the city once great with people. She that was great among nations is become like a widow. The princess among states is become a thrall. Bitterly she weeps in the night, her cheeks wet with tears. There is none to comfort her. All of her friends, all of her allies have betrayed her. They have become her foes. Judah has gone into exile because of misery and harsh oppression. When she settled among the nations, she found no rest. All her pursuers overtook her in the narrow places.
Read together. Adonai in my midst has rejected all my heroes. He has proclaimed a set time against me to crush young men as in
Ephrath Adonai has trodden.
fair maiden Judah. For these things do I weep. My eyes flow with tears. Far from me is any comforter who might revive my spirit. My children are forlorn, for the foe has prevailed. Zion spreads out her hands. She has no one to comfort her. Adonai has summoned against Jacob his enemies all about him. Jerusalem has become among them a thing unclean.
Alas, Adonai, in God's wrath has shamed-fared Zion, has cast down from heaven to earth the majesty of Israel. God did not remember God's footstool on God's day of wrath. Adonai has laid waste without pity all the habitations of Jacob. God has raised in God's anger. Where Judah's strongholds, God has brought low in dishonor. The kingdom and its leaders, in God's blazing anger, God has cut down all the might of Israel. God has withdrawn God's right hand. In the presence of the foe, God has ravaged Jacob like flaming fire, consuming on all sides.
Your sneers prophesy to you, delusion and folly. They did not expose your iniquity, so as to restore your fortunes, but prophesy to you oracles of delusion and deception. All who pass your way clap their hands at you. They hiss and wag their head at fair Jerusalem. Is this the city that was called perfect in beauty, joy of all the earth? All your enemies jeer at you. They hiss and gnash their teeth and cry, we've ruined her. Ah, this is the day we hoped for. We have lived to see it.
Read in English and then in Hebrew. Remember, O Adonai, what has befallen us. Behold and see our disgrace. Our heritage has passed to aliens, our homes to strangers. We have become orphans, fatherless. Our mothers are like widows. We must pay to drink our own water, obtain our own kindling at a price. We are hotly pursued, exhausted. We are given no rest. We hold out a hand to Egypt, to Assyria, for our fill of bread. Why have you forgotten us utterly, forsaken us for all time? Take us back, O Adonai, to yourself, and let us come back.
Renew our days as of old, for truly you have rejected us, bitterly raged against us. Take us back, O Adonai, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as of old.
Zachor Adonai, Mahaya lanu, Habita ur'e et Sarfatenu, Nachalatenu, Nehefacha lezarim, Batenu lenachrim, Yitomeim hayinu, Deana, Imotenu ke'almanot, Nimenu, Dechesef shatinu, Atzenu bimchiv avo'o, Tavarenu, Nirdafnu, Yaganu velo unach lanu, Mitzrayim natanu yad, Ashur lisoboa lachem. Lama lanetza, tishkachenu, lahaznenu leorech yamim. Hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva chadish yameinu kekedem. Imahot ma'enu, Hatzaftalenu, ad me'od. Hashivenu Adonai elecha, v'nashuva chadish yameinu kekedem. Take us back, O Adonai, to yourself, and let us come back. Renew our days as a whole.
In the chanting of Echa, we noticed that we went back to the second to last phrase, the Nechemta, because whenever we present Torah, whenever we present Haftorah, we are never supposed to, according to the rabbis, end on the negative. And it's curious that we do that on this Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is one of our 2 25-hour fast days, among 4 other fast days, which are a day-long fast. And it's the day where we compile all the bad stuff that has ever happened to the Jewish people. Which is curious because if you add up all the bad stuff that's ever happened to us, every day would be Tisha B'Av. And the rabbis realized that even though Zachor, to remember, is one of the central principles of being Jewish. Being Jewish also means to live with hope and to live with prayer for the moment and for tomorrow. Reform Judaism very early on decided not to really embrace the notion of Tisha B'Av, in part because we do not mourn the destruction of the temple. For without the temple being destroyed, the first and second temples, there would have been no evolution into what became Rabbinic Judaism and what became the diaspora Judaism and what became the Judaism we observe today. So they said we do not mourn it, instead we'll find other ways to celebrate our tradition. And so as a nice Jewish kid growing up in Texas, I was not really all that familiar with Tisha B'Av, except when perchance maybe we observed it at camp, because we certainly did not observe it in the synagogue. A day of fasting, a day of wearing sackcloth and ashes, certainly not quite comparable to wearing cowboy boots and cowboy hats. Nonetheless, as I've moved on through life, I've realized part of the reason why we observe this day is because it is a powerful reminder that as Jews, we have suffered, and as Jews, we've never entirely been saved. And that, unfortunately, is part of the reality of the lives we live. I'm often asked, Rabbi, why do people hate the Jews so much? And I explained that it's a long, complicated history. And if you have many hours, I'd be happy to sit down and give you just a taste of all that we've been through. But part of the reason for it goes back to Leviticus, where God tells Moses to instruct the Israelites, "You shall be a holy people, for I, Adonai your God, am holy." We were chosen. We were chosen with a particular mission to embody holiness as an example to the world, not because we are better than anyone else, far from it, but because we have an opportunity to embrace the idea of one God and to live that ethical monotheism in a way that can impact the world in meaningful ways and inspire others to live holy lives as well. Unfortunately, people don't often want to be reminded to be holy. They want to be reminded that what they do is okay, even if it means other people suffer. And boy, have we suffered. And we could have many Tisha B'Avs, but instead we remember one day. But there's also a Nechemta on Tisha B'Av, which is to leave the sanctuary with hope. And we've just seen the embodiment of hope in our world. We just witnessed 2 weeks of the Olympics. So many incredible stories. Matter of fact, one that I find really remarkable is that if you take all of the American women, just the American women, they're the third largest group after the USA and China to win medals. How remarkable is that? You hear the stories and you watch the celebrations of the nations great and small, and just the sheer joy and the athleticism and the celebration of genuine competition. Reminds you what is possible when we lay aside our anger and animosity and our rage and really celebrate what the human body is capable of. It gives you hope. And yet it is curious that this took place in Paris. For it was a little over 100 years ago that Theodore Herzl, when covering the Alfred Dreyfus case, heard people walking through the streets, a Paris which was the most modern city in the world. People walking through the streets shouting death to the Jews. This inspired Herzl because he realized that without our own land, we would not be safe. And so this led to the World Zionist Congress, which ultimately led to the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. A state which many embraced and some rejected. A state which to this day, many embrace and some reject. A state which on October 7th was attacked in brutal, vicious, violent way, reminded us that we as Jews, and Druze, and Muslims, and Christians are not necessarily safe in the world from acts of violence and terror and hate. And yet there is a nechemta, even as we struggle amongst our own community, amongst ourselves, about what it means to be Jews in this modern world. There is a nechemta that we are able to struggle with those meanings as community, as individuals. There is a nechemta that we have an opportunity to embody and strive for a greater, stronger, more peaceful world, not by living through anger and hate, but by living through love and through hope. And so here this night, we remember the collective travesties and tragedies that have befallen our people. We also remember our personal losses, people in our lives who meant so very much to us, whose love we still feel, even if we note their physical absence. And we know through them we are stronger, we are better. And what we cannot do is let the hate and hurt of the world divide us, and let the hate and hurt of the world bring us down. We've taken all the Tisha B'Avs and combined them into one day to say today we get to dwell in the pain and the hurt. And then the next day we get up and we do the sacred work that we've been challenged to do. to live lives of meaning, to live lives of love, to live lives of hope. It's really hard to do at this moment. If we can do it at this moment, we will create an akamta that will inspire others to do those in other challenging moments as well. So this is a singular moment in time, but our people live many moments in time. And we have a chance laid before us to inspire others to live with hope and love, even in times of pain and sacrifice. There it goes.
Enachamu, Ami Amar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Amar Elohechem. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle to take care of one another. Comfort us in our wilderness. Comfort us as we struggle with this world. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Amar Elohechem. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Amar Elohechem.
On this Tisha B'Av, we take time to remember those who have died over the past couple of years, whose lives were part of our lives, whose journeys were part of our journeys, whose memories are for an abiding blessing, to whom will be greatly missed. When you hear the name of a loved one, we invite you, if you so choose, to rise in body and or in spirit. If you rise in body, we encourage you to remain standing. This Tisha B'Av, we remember Barb Ackerson, Rita Arnold, Erin Z. Batt, Eora Lucille Becker, Annette M. Benjamin, Maureen Bernstein, Sandy Bernstein, Bob Blaker, Norm Bleicher, Francis B. Blumkin, Joel Thomas Baum, Alfred Mark Broadkey, John David Burns, Peggy Chasen, Alexander Lee Christensen, Alan L. Cohen, Dr. Edward S. Cohn, David Cooper, Roger Darrington, Betsy R. Goldberg Davidson, Peggy Nogdeland, Raimundo D. DeSico, Rabbi David Ellenson, Judy Engel, Jack Frazier, Arlene Fredericks, Barbara Lieberman Froman, Conrad Lopez Fuentes, Marcia L. Gellner, Samuel Gendler, Nina Freefeld Giles, Gary L. Goldstein, Gerald M. Jerry Goldstrom, Morgan Goodman, Jerome P. Jerry Boardman, Linda Boardman, Alexandra Brutus, Chris Hightower, Nancy V. Hornstein, Howard Kamen, Julie Kalman, Irving E. Kaminsky, Gerald L. Cole, Beverly Beth Krasny, David Levinson, Norma Levinson, Clifford Abbott Leviton, Stephen A. Niesman, Edward Robert Bob Newman, Dean Osborne, Delphine Ott, Doris Parker, Warren E. Bud Phillips, Joseph Pinson Jr., Lenore Pollock, Ralph Jerome Post, Stephen B. Redler, Yvette Y. Rothman, Sandra Rosenberg, Chad Thomas Schaefer, Monty Schlitten, Janice Jan Ricks Schneiderman, Stephen Gary Seglin, Sarah N. Selden, Charlotte M. Shapiro, Adam Joshua Skog, Carol Smithland, Gilbert Smith, James Jan Soker, Martin Soper, Kenneth Ken Edgar Spatz, Colleen Spencer, Judith K. Stern, Christopher Sudman, Alan J. Talon, Sally Priestman Telpner, Bernard Jerome Perkel, Mike Vereb, Jeanette T. Wagner, Robert L. Weinstein, Arnie Weintraub, Philip Werner, Catherine E. Kitty Williams. If there are any additions or corrections, I invite you to mention them at this time. We invite all others who so choose to rise as well in solidarity with the mourners as we join together in Kadisha Tom, Mourners Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabba, v'alma divrach yirtei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayefon u'vyomechon, v'chayetachol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba nevorach le'olam olamei almaya, Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromach v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram ve'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom v'imrama, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshei tevel, v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Together as one loving family, let us say.
Amen. From our text of lamentation. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Venashuva,
There is no formal words to conclude a Tisha B'Av service. So we'll simply say we wish you a day of meaning, and may you find comfort in one another, the memories of your loved ones, and hope for better days.